The Cowboys OT is brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
One thing that Santa could not deliver on Christmas Eve is a Cowboys win. 22-20 the final score as the Cowboys fall at Hard Rock Stadium as a game-winning field goal as time expires elevates the Dolphins to 11-4, and the Dallas Cowboys fall to 10-5. Welcome into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. We've got Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback ready to break things down for you. I'm Kyle Youmans. Barry, I'll start with you. This was a playoff caliber matchup between two playoff caliber teams. And ultimately, Dallas just didn't make enough plays, made a couple mistakes along the way that led to a loss.
Yeah, this was a match between two heavyweight competitors out there, going blow for blow, counter punch for counter punch. Each offense making adjustments to battle a defense that was kind of stifling each offense throughout this entire game. But the Miami Dolphins made one more play than the Dallas Cowboys did to go ahead and win this game. I feel like both sides of the football for the Dallas Cowboys came to play. They played hard. Penalties, once again, reared their ugly heads out there. But at the end of the day, I think it came down to one or two plays in this game that was the big time difference. I'm sure we'll talk about it as we go, but the Hunter Lipke fumble at the beginning of the game in the first quarter ended up being an extremely costly one for this Dallas Cowboys football team. We'll go forward with what we've seen so far from this offense, and I believe Dak Prescott once again had a great game as far as you looking at it, just putting that Superman cape on, fighting throughout this entire game, making plays when plays needed to be made. But at the end of the day, Tua and the Dolphins, they just made one more play than this team did.
I just want to say, hey, great job for our run defense. I talked about it a lot in the pregame. They only gave up 91 yards rushing. I want to say thank you for that. But, we just cannot have those bad penalties. Barry spoke on it. And I'll be a little bit more specific. Illegal formation this late in the season against a road team that you're on the road and you need to play better. 2 offsides, another personal foul. These things cannot happen. You all played too well and played through adversity. Y'all was still in the game after all of this. You need to get better. You need to think. It's not what's below the shoulders. It's what above the shoulders that keep you in the playoffs and keep you going long into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Nate. And everybody that has something to say up here is right. This is one heck of a fight. These guys battled a playoff team. That's the reality. Okay, Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs. Miami Dolphins are in the playoffs. Both of these teams are worthy of being there. Both of these teams are capable of making long runs in those playoffs. So what happens is you start having games that really rely on you not making mistakes. Every little minute thing matters when playoff football comes up. Yeah, we're not in the playoffs, but this was a playoff game tonight. Make no mistake about it. Every penalty hurts you. Every missed play hurts you. Every missed tackle hurts you, right? Every drop. All those things really start to come into play because in playoff football, every play you think can really sway the game which one way or another. And that's exactly what took place tonight. The Hunter Lipke play obviously was huge, okay? The Micah Parsons personal foul on the late hit was huge. Now, were those the only two things that happened tonight? Absolutely not. You did a lot of positive things tonight, but again, when it comes down to those close games and those very important games, when it's win or go home, those will be here in a couple weeks. These are the plays that matter.
This feels a lot like that Week 9 loss to Philadelphia where every single play mattered. Yep. You played decent football and you put yourself in a position to compete, but then ultimately those plays didn't bounce your way and it ends up in a loss. Let's see how this one unfolded on the road at Hard Rock Stadium. Dak Prescott and company looking for a rebound after last week's loss to the Buffalo Bills. Opening drive for Dallas works all the way down to the goal line. Isaiah mentioned it. It did not work past the goal line. Hunter Lipke fumbles. It's recovered by the Dolphins, and Dallas empty on the first drive.
Yeah, this one, I think the play calling just got a little too cute. You got the 2 fourth down conversions earlier with Lipke right here, just kind of stumbles in without the ball. You can't do that.
That leads to a Miami field goal 57 yards out. That's not the only time that Sanders would boot it through the uprights. Miami strikes first 3-0. However, Dallas would have an answer. Their next drive, Dak Prescott drops back, finds CeeDee Lamb over the middle. Lamb does the rest. 49 yards to the house, his 7th straight game, Isaiah, where CeeDee Lamb has a touchdown.
Yeah, they're just finding ways to get him the ball. You see him here lined up in the slot. They chose not to man him up with Jalen Ramsey. He said, oh, you might want to think about that again. I'm going to go ahead and put this gas, no brakes on you, and go ahead and take this thing for a touchdown.
He's been fantastic, but he had a 93 yards in the first quarter. He'd go dormant around this time. Miami inside the 10 on their next drive, deciding to go for it on 4th down. Tua misses Cedric Wilson. Dallas gets a possession back, and it stays 7-3. However, that early offensive rhythm turned to pressure. Dak Prescott pressured from the right-hand side, tries to get out of trouble. He ends up being sacked, and Dallas is forced to punt. Miami working late in the second quarter into the red zone. Tua Tagovailoa turns to the right-hand side. It's incomplete. However, instead of it being third down and Dallas able to pin their ears back, Micah Parsons called for roughing the passer. Nate, this goes back to the penalties you were mentioning.
Oh, definitely right here. You got to be able to respond. I know you're a little upset because you're frustrated because people are holding you, but you're a great player. Learn to play within the perimeters of the game, son.
Yeah, next play for the Dolphins. Thanks to the penalty, it opens things up for Raheem Mostert. He bobbles the ball, but he catches it, and he works into the end zone. Dolphins lead at the break 13-7. Both teams trading a multiple field goals into the fourth quarter, 19-13. And Dorrance Armstrong forcing the big stop to finally give Dallas the ball back, and they take advantage. On 4th and goal, a throw to Cavante Turpin. He is held. Barry Church, what did you see on this play?
Well, first of all, you love this matchup. Turpin against a safety right there. That's a mismatch all day long. I don't think he held him a little bit too much. He sold it a little bit on that play. Big-time play for the Cowboys.
First down, Dallas. 2 plays later, Dak lofts it up. Brandon Cooks makes a phenomenal grab to tie the game at 11 with 3:27 to play. Of course, Brandon Aubrey's PAT would give Dallas the lead. He gets both feet down. He has the coverage from both Jalen Ramsey and some help on the outside. Dallas takes a 20-19 lead. All they needed was a stop. Instead, it was North Texas's own Jeff Wilson Jr. that gets the first down. The clock continues to run. Miami takes it all the way down to 2 seconds, and on their final drive, it's just 29 yards out. A quick chip shot from Sanders puts it through the uprights, and that's how this one ends. It's a gut punch for the Cowboys, who finally figured out some rhythm on offense in the fourth quarter, but they left too much time for Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins to win it. Tua and the Dolphins get their 11th win of the season. The Dallas Cowboys lose their second straight for the first time since Thanksgiving of 2021. There's the final stats brought to you by Miller Lite. Dolphins 22, Cowboys 20. When we come back here on Cowboys OT, we'll hear from Mike McCarthy. Rumor says he's not very happy after this one. He's going to take to the podium when we come back right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into Cowboys OT. The Cowboys fall on the road at Hard Rock Stadium, 22-20, the final score against the Miami Dolphins. Let's hear from head coach Mike McCarthy at the podium.
You know, the 2 backed-up series, like I've already stated, were poor. You know, we had some protection issues. You know, they had linebacker run through too many times. So it's part of playing, and you know, we had some change-ups in the, you know, in the line and in the hots and so forth. You know, it's we got to make those plays. You know, the protection part, particularly in those pressures that we saw. That, you know, we had a couple that we did not. You know, we weren't where we needed to be. So
when you look at the
the athletic Mike, the last drive, that when they're driving down, what's kind of the thought process? Is there any thought process of letting them score or trying to get the ball back to your offense? What is your process?
we talked about freeway. Would be the call there. Yeah, we discussed it. But I think you got to let the down and distance. You know, it was too far out, if I recall, on the second and third down, we felt. But yeah, we discussed it as an option.
John.
Jump shot of the athletic. Mike, it felt like the defense kept giving you guys a shot, keeping you guys in the game offensively. Did you kind of feel it that way? How do you think defense?
Frankly, this is how I view our team. You know, because these are the games that I personally really enjoy, because I know you need to think you're ever going to win a championship. You need these games, especially on the road. You know, to go win games on the road. There's you know, great road wins are things that we all remember, you know, throughout the years, and that's why, you know, the urgency to come in here, you know, we put a lot into the game, but you know, it's definitely something we can grow from. But yeah, to me, to keep us in the game, I mean, to me, it's the definition of complementary football. You know, I thought we battled back and forth. The defense stood up, and you know, we came back, and you know, the field position. I haven't seen the stats, but I assume we lost the field position battle. So you know, the one giveaway was costly. You know, I think that was a 17-play drive. So and like I said, those are probably 2 plays. You know, those are the difference in these playoff type games.
But you knew going into this game that it wasn't going to be like a carryover from Buffalo with the missed tackles and things like that?
Oh, no, I didn't think so. No, Buffalo, I mean, hey, I've answered the questions about Buffalo. We were coached poor. We played poor. It was a good wake-up call, but we could play better than we did today, and to me, that's exciting.
Like the pressure that they were giving you guys, offensively, what was kind of hard to make these kind of throws?
Can you let us know who you are and what your platform is? Thank you.
Yeah, I just answered the protection part. We had some mishaps. I don't know if you were in here, but just went through it. Yeah, I think we missed 3 or 4 of them, frankly, today. So we need to be better there.
How do you turn the grit and resiliency, all that, into a win on the road in these big games when you're in these environments?
Well, I think it's football. You got to make. I think we were -2 big play opportunities in the first half, and I'm sure it was probably about even in the second half. And that's what these games. I mean, today's NFL is you can't win without big play production, and and that was I thought both defenses did a pretty good job keeping these offenses, keeping a cap on them for the most part.
All righty.
So there's head coach Mike McCarthy following the 22-20 loss, back with Nate Newton and Isaiah Stanback. He talked a little bit there about Chuma Edoga at left tackle. No Tyron Smith. He's out with a back injury this week. And there was pressure significantly on Dak Prescott throughout the game. But, Nate, what did you think about the offensive line and how they fared against the talented Miami front seven?
It was a struggle. It was a struggle. These guys, they played hard. Dak helped them out a lot. Tony Pollard helped them out a lot. But I'm going to tell you what Coach was talking about. You got the guard, the left guard, and the left tackle. What they was doing was putting a guy in between those two guys. Yeah. You have to take the most important guy. But what they were doing a great job is disguising it. They're bringing 5 yards, and they'll bring him up to the line, then they're moving back. And this was making Chuma, he couldn't be decisive. So now when he decided to sit down and they dropped that guy back, or they bring that guy, that just gave Bradley Chubb a free reign. And they hit us about 2 or 3 times. Then they tried on the other side with Steele, too. Not as much success as they had on the left side, but Bradley Chubb was just taking our young man to work today.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb had one heck of a day. We knew that was potentially going to be a problem coming into this game, being that Dallas was the number 1, quarterback pressuring defense in the league, and Miami wasn't far behind them at number 3 in the league. So these guys were respectable. You don't hear a lot about their defense because their offense is so explosive. But when you talk about the guys that they have on that defensive line, over at Wilkins on the interior defensive line, and then you have Bradley Chubb over there on the left side. That's exactly where he went. As soon as he saw that Tyron didn't make the flight, he went ahead and laced his shoes up, okay? He might have had Velcro. He might have put some zip ties on them things. But there were things that were locked up and ready to roll because this dude was applying pressure all night long. There was times where Chuma was in there fighting. He had to force Chubb to go to his second and third move. But ultimately, Chubb won the battle a lot of times. You talking about the team. I don't remember how many times we dropped back, but Bradley Chubb had 1.5 sacks. He hit the quarterback 3 times. So this dude was on Dak's butt all night long trying to get to him. And it wasn't helpful that on the opposing side, Terrence Steele was fighting for his life too because Van Ginkel was relentless in his approach to try to get to the quarterback. So Dak made tons of plays that most quarterbacks would have had to take sacks on. Shout out to Dak on that. But to Coach's point, he was under pressure the entire night.
And credit to Vic Fangio and what he was able to do from a defensive coordinator standpoint, putting those guys in, mixing up different looks. They brought pressure from the second level. They brought safety pressure. It didn't really matter what the previous play said. Something else was coming toward that offensive line. They had to make adjustments, and it wasn't always pretty up front for the Cowboys. But when we come back, we talk about the pressure from the Dallas defense. Micah Parsons hits the podium. Some frustration from him as well. Some of it toward the officials. We'll hear from Parsons when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Some frustration beginning to build for Micah Parsons, and it might have begun a couple months prior this NFL season, toward the officials and toward how teams are attacking the talented pass rusher. Let's hear his thoughts following the 22-20 loss to Miami.
It's super tough. I just feel like we're good enough to get a stop, It's tough. 3rd and 2, obviously they're going to try to attack what they think is a weakness. What's your thoughts on that 3rd and 2 just before the kneel downs? I mean, honestly, are you saying our weakness is the run? Well, that's what they assume based on what happened last week against Buffalo. So.
I mean, I wouldn't say they attacked the weakness. I mean, I feel like majority of the game we shut down the run, had a lot of TFLs, had a lot of success. So I wouldn't say the weakness, but if you're talking about situational football and game football and IQ, why wouldn't you run it on 3rd and 2 and you're already in field goal position? So, I mean, I wouldn't say that's the weakness at all. I think we stopped the run pretty well and did what we were supposed to do.
How do you think you did against Tua overall?
I thought we did good. I don't think we really gave up anything big. They scored one time, a lot of field goals. I mean, they coming into the game, I think everybody knew they were going to get some big plays, some big opportunities with the weapons they have. And I thought we did a great job containing them.
You mentioned the good things you guys did. 5 field goals, that you hold the #1 offense in the league, too. Just can you quantify the frustration of not coming out with the win after that kind of performance?
Same thing with the Eagles, same thing now. It's a game of inches. Games are decided by 1 or 2 plays. That's the league win. It's hard to win. They won the turnover battle. So, you know, I think as a defense, we take accountability because we pride ourselves in getting the ball back, and we didn't do a good enough job at that.
Can you pinpoint the road issues? I mean, you have one on the road, but of late, there's been some struggles. Buffalo today.
I mean, we fighting with our back against the wall. A lot of penalties. I mean, it's mind-blowing, the things that's getting called and the positions we get put in. I mean, the thing is, we just got to learn how to fight the adversity. I know a lot of it's BS, and we're like, this is football plays, and but it's the world we live in. We got the star in the helmet.
You hit Tua in the back. What did the ref say to you on that call?
He said, I mean, anybody who's watching, I mean, I won so quick, like, how am I supposed to know he got the ball out? I mean, it's within a second. I didn't leave my feet. I didn't leave with my head, so I don't know what a roughing the passer is anymore. He said I could have done something in some manner to avoid him, but in reality, I ran into D-Law. Like, we both met the quarterback. I mean, like I said, it's just hard to play defense. So overall, Micah Parsons frustrated with the loss. He did not blame the officials, at least in this clip. So, I mean, there's growth there from the way that he's taking accountability and the way that they want to move forward. What did you think about his words?
I'm going to say I agree with a lot of what he said right there. Like you said, he took accountability for his actions out there. He felt like this defense did a good job or a better job in slowing down the run, which they did. They were a lot better as far as gap discipline is concerned, and they kept a roof on that explosive Miami offense out there. So I do agree with him when he said that. And when he's talking about with the officials, he understands that, hey, they've got to be better. I'm talking about the players out there when you're talking about these type of officiating. You know they're going to, call the plays tight. He said he didn't see the quarterback release the football, whatever the case may be. When you take that extra step, they're going to throw that flag. 9 times out of 10, they're going to throw that flag to protect the quarterback. But he understands that, and he took accountability of it. So I had nothing, wrong for what he said out there today, and I agree with mostly what he said during that interview.
I'm with you there, but, the thing is you kept them around about 373 yards of offense, 280-something passing, 91 rushing. You did a super job. You had a few bad plays, a few bad penalties. It's just ugly the way we play defense now. I mean, you don't know how high to hit them, how low to hit them. When is it going to be a call? When is it not going to be a call? So a lot of times quarterbacks get a free reign. Yeah. It's just the league that we're in, and they did a great job against Miami. Just the one turnover, to be honest with you, that was the difference of the game.
Yeah. Yes.
And our defense played well, and they just continue to improve on that. And Parsons, you're a great player, and you're going to get held every game, every time. So you just got to figure it out.
What are teams doing, Barry, to counteract what Dallas does well from a pass rush standpoint? Because this pass rush in the first 4 games of the season was relentless. It was unstoppable. Now they still provide pressure, no doubt about it. They lead the NFL in pressures for a reason, but they don't get home nearly as much. What are teams doing?
I think teams are slowing down their pass rush by running straight at these guys. When you talk about, the stunts and the gap switching that they love to do as far as the Dan Quinn system is, and that's to get early penetration in the down. That's to get after the quarterback. But when you do that and teams decide to run the football, if you're not extremely gap disciplined, you're going to get exposed. And that happened in these last 2 weeks when you talk about the running game. They did a better job this week, but last week, 266 yards, that wasn't the case. So they've got to get better as a whole and just playing what we used to call man-on-man, bone football, where you sit in your A gap, you sit in your B gap, you sit in your D gap, whatever you want to call them, and you trust that your other teammates are going to do their job, and you guys are going to go out there and you're going to perform better. But with all these stunts and all these gap switching, it gives an offense an opportunity to hit you with some of these counters, to hit you with some of these outside runs, and that's what we've seen from teams playing against the Dallas Cowboys.
A lot of times when you stunt and you gap and you're saying that you have an athletic team, but it also says that you have a team that's not really huge, not really big. Because most time when you have just big guys, big bulky guys, you can just play the A and B gaps and just sit home and let your linebackers roam. But here we're trying to, move around because we're not big. We're just flashy guys. That's very, very athletic. And a lot of times that leaves your linebackers that are undersized out, hang them out to dry.
Yep. Especially whenever you're already thin at the linebacker position, too, with Damone Clark and Marquise Bell having to play a number of snaps. Even Michael Parsons himself taking a step back to the second level a time or two throughout the game. When we come back, though, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott. It looked like for a moment he might have had his MVP moment, but instead they fall 22-20 to Miami. We hear from QB1 next. There were moments throughout the game that Dak Prescott had to will his team back into contention. However, the Cowboys fall by 2 on the road to the Miami Dolphins. Here's QB1 at the podium.
Yeah, you just know it frustrating. Frustrating the dead spot, I guess you can say, right there in the middle of the game for the offense. I mean, all right, after the first 2 drives, don't get anything going again, and then come back second half. Once again, a little dry there, and then finally get it back rolling, get some points on the board, a couple of field goals and a touchdown, take the lead, and tough. But our defense did a hell of a job. This is completely on everybody. One that sucks, but definitely took a step, I guess you can say, from obviously last week's game, getting some points, playing a hell of a team here on the road, and we'll have to build off it. We'll have to use the good, make sure we get better from the things that weren't up to standard, but use the good and plan to go on the road.
Still feel feeds that narrative of you guys not being able to win on the road.
I mean, I guess it feeds it, right? We didn't come out with the win, but I can tell you the confidence is high from that group. Obviously, this one sucks. It hurts, especially as you just said in the manner that we did. That we lost this one, but the confidence is high in these guys. We understand that we can. Obviously, we haven't done it, but we will. And obviously, the road forward looks like we'll be going on the road. So, got one more in this regular season to dial it in and improve from this one, and get a win, and then carry that into the next part of the season.
Dak, Tyler, for the where does that confidence come from that you still have to believe even if you guys haven't been able to win?
I mean, hell, we're this whole narrative changes off of, unfortunately, one play out there. I mean, the guy misses a field goal. We're in here talking about a completely different outlook. So let's not lose sight of that. I mean, that's the game of football. And a lot of times, we flip the script off of one play in that sense. And these guys, we're not going to do that. It sucks. We hate to lose. Nobody's taking any more victories from this. We will take some confidence, but we're not taking any more victories. But my point is, if he misses that field goal or one earlier, we score earlier. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a different game. So we're going to be committed. I think to answer your question is this brotherhood, what we're committed to. We're committed to one another, holding each other accountable in our goal. And we just got to capitalize early, obviously on that first drive, and then defense will probably say that they need to get that stop, but they did a hell of a job. We got to find a way to put in more points as an offense, and we will.
You mentioned that first drive, just, you guys win the toss, receive, go all the way down. How demoralizing is it when you can't come up with even 3 points, let alone 7?
It sucks, but demoralizing isn't quite the word. You got to move on fast, especially that being the first drive of the game. Understand it's a long game ahead. If that did demoralize us, we wouldn't have came back and responded like the way that we did in that second drive. So being able to do that was huge. Being able to come back next drive, go down there and put 7 in the end zone was a big part in the way for us to put that last drive past us. But yeah, when you look back at it, right at this point, yeah, I'd love to get any kind of points there. I mean, changes the way that last drive is played, and so
And
sucks.
how much was Tyron Smith missed today?
I've got to watch film. I mean, those guys fought their asses off. Obviously, I had to extend some plays, move around in the pocket a little bit, but those are some great ends that they were playing. I mean, especially Chubb over there. So, I mean, got to go back and look at the film. But Tyron, Hall of Famer, he's going to be tough to replace, and when he's in there, it's always different with Tyron.
You already touched a little bit on the defense, so I just wanted to know what your thoughts were coming into the game about how the defense would respond to the way that they played in Buffalo, and then just what you thought of them in general. It seemed like they were able to keep you guys in the game throughout up until the last series.
Yeah, they kept us in the game. I mean, simple as that. As I said, right, the dry spots early or after the first two drives to not get anything going again till the end of the third quarter. Yeah, they gave us the opportunity even to take the lead late with slowing an explosive offense down, playmakers. I mean, they got some field goals, but you turn those field goal possessions or allow them to have touchdowns on the field goal possessions, and we don't even have a chance to come back right there. So, I mean, they definitely gave us an opportunity. They've got the right leaders on that side of the ball. I mean, you see the way that DeMarcus plays. That's who he is on and off the field. Guys got to continue to follow him, just doing things right. Hell of a player. Saw it all over the field tonight. And, yeah, they've got a hell of a leader in DQ. So no worries about that group. They responded well, and they gave us an opportunity.
CD said it was kind of strange for him to kind of not be involved in the second and third quarter. What did you see that was it the defense that was doing something? What kind of happened where after the first two drives and then until the fourth quarter he wasn't involved?
Yeah, strange, I guess, is a good word, but when you have 3 or 4 catches and 70 yards on them from the jump, you're playing a defensive coordinator over there that's been around for a long time, and he's going to find ways to slow you down and maybe fog my reads up a little bit when it comes to your side. So that's all that really happened. I mean, credit them over there. I mean, they weren't going to let the guy just continue to have a career day, which was potential, obviously, with the way that we started. Yeah, and then got him some more catches, obviously, late, but that's on us as well as finding a way to, even with that happen, getting more catches. I mean, we had a screen called, one side or another, went to one side and then looked back at the play, right, and it looks like CD would have had a better opportunity. Things like that falls on my lap. So, yeah, and we'll get better.
So Dak Prescott very, very real with what happened in Miami. He has some concerns. He has some positives to take out of this loss, 22-20 to the Miami Dolphins. Here are the offensive stats. And top to bottom, outside of maybe third down conversions, 4 of 12 in that category, you feel pretty good about what Dallas did in those categories. A big turnover early, and ultimately that was the difference. As we welcome you back into Cowboys OT, Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Youmans. It was funny, I was talking with the head coach of North Texas men's basketball, Ross Hodge, earlier in the week, and he was talking about close games in college basketball and how it relates to games like this. Whether or not it goes in your favor at the end of the game, you feel differently about it, but the lessons learned, both positive and negative, stay the same. What are the lessons that we've learned from Dak Prescott in a game like this?
That he's the best leader on this football team, in my opinion. That he's going to go out there and make sure this team is in the best situation that it can be offensively going forward. When you look at it with this guy, no matter what the situation is, he's always cool, calm, and collected, and he's making sure he brings his teammates with him. Today, it wasn't his day. At the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins made one more play than he was able to make out there. But when you look at it, he didn't turn the football over out there. He was able to find his receivers out there, and in the last drive that they needed to score a touchdown to get above, he was able to orchestrate that by throwing the football to a bunch of guys out there and making plays. So to me, Dak Prescott, he's shown that leadership ability from this team, and I don't think that was ever in question when it came to him. But going forward with this offense, it's going to be on Dak Prescott's shoulders to make sure that they're in the best predicament going forward, and I believe he's the player that's going to be able to do that for you.
I think that Dak Prescott is not only the leader on this team, but he's also a realist, right, in terms of his outlook on what is taking place within this organization, within that locker room, and what's taking place on the field. He doesn't have unrealistic expectations. He's not saying that the game is simply just swayed one way. This dude's telling you straight up, hey, if that dude's bobble or snap, we win this ball game. If we make one more completion or one more first down or one less fumble, we win this ball game. And that's the reality. That is the game of football. You heard him allude to that over the past few weeks in some of these close battles. He is being realistic about that. So now it's a matter of them going back to the table and just improving a little bit, right? You're at the point of the season now where it's like, You're looking at minute improvements every single week. What can we do just to turn the tides just a little bit so we can come out the victor? Because nobody cares how much you win by. And as long as you get that W on your record, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And that's what he's working towards every single week.
What it felt like today was playoff football without playoff consequences is really what it ends up being. This game, in the grand scheme of things, and we'll explain it in the final segment, doesn't affect your playoff outlook at all. Even a little bit, maybe a tiny bit, but for the most part, it does not affect your playoff outlook, your playoff seeding capabilities. You still need the same result. One of the improvements that Dallas did make today was on the run defensive side of things. We're going to hear from DeMarcus Lawrence and the way that Cowboys defense played against the run when we come back with more Cowboys OT. One of the bright spots in the Cowboys' loss to the Miami Dolphins is the fact that they only allowed 91 yards rushing. That's a downgrade from 266 last week against the Buffalo Bills. Big part of that was DeMarcus Lawrence. He was fantastic on the road. Here's what he had to say following the loss.
Game of inches, man. We got to find a way to, come out with the win.
How difficult is it now? Because it looks as if you might have to go on the road for the postseason.
That don't mean nothing. Regardless if we road or home, we got to win, point blank period. And, we didn't come out with the win today. This ain't the last y'all going to see us. So, ain't nothing to hold our heads about. We went out there and we fought tough. We just ain't come home with the win.
Tim, if you could put a word on the feeling walking off the field today after this one, what would it be?
It's football, man. It's a game of inches. Definitely take pride in our work and what we display out there on the field. But, we can't control each and every scenario. We have to play against, the opposing team, the refs, and, a hostile environment. So, we got everything working against us, man. We just got to come together as a brotherhood and find a way to get a win.
How tough was that final drive, knowing you need to stop and y'all couldn't get it on defense?
It was very tough. Feel like my brothers definitely believe we was going to get the stop. We just ain't get it.
Not to say you weren't always into the game, but on that your guys' last offensive possession, I noticed that you weren't even sitting down. You were up on the sideline screaming the whole entire time. It just seemed like you were really into that whole moment when they came down there and scored. How important was it to try and get a win in this game, and just how disappointed are you that you guys weren't able to do it?
Yeah, man, it was very important. We definitely put the work in this week. Feel like our game plan was solid. But it's a game of inches, man. It comes down to 1 or 2 plays that we could have made on defense, and we just ain't handling our business tonight. But overall, I feel like we played tough, and we got something to look forward to.
There was a 3rd and 2 in that last drive. How difficult was it to? This was the ball game right here. You got to stop it.
Hey, man. I just urge y'all to go back and look at that last drive. I feel like it could have been called both ways, but obviously they only seen, the ticky-tacky stuff that we did. So, it's just, a game of inches, bro. You got to learn from your mistakes, be able to anticipate in different situations and be able to, flow to the ball, run, hit, and let the rest take care of itself. Appreciate y'all.
Pretty fast improvement from 1 week to the next. 266 down to 91. What worked for this run defense?
DeMarcus Lawrence, in my opinion. That's what worked for this run defense. The numbers may not say it out there. He only had 2 combined tackles, I believe, no TFLs, but he was disruptive the entire game out there, blowing blocks up. They tried to double team him. They tried to triple team him, but it just didn't work. The guy was out there playing his butt off this afternoon, and it kind of made it infectious throughout the entire defense if you look at it. So that's the type of leader that they need defensively from this team, and DeMarcus Lawrence, hopefully that same D-Law will show up in these next 2 weeks of the regular season.
And you know what? Jordan Lewis had a super game, too. He was coming up making tackles. So, like you said, it got infectious, and that thing took off. So they had a great day today.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the secondary with Jordan Lewis and Stephon Gilmore, who was a little banged up at the end of the game, here in a little bit. But when we come back, let's talk about the outside game. Brandon Cooks had a big touchdown. Cowboys tried to get it outside to Cooks and Lamb. We're going to talk about the Archer right after this. When Brandon Cooks made the play to reel in the touchdown grab with double coverage around him with just 3:17 to play, it looked like Dallas had a chance to improve to 11-4. However, Miami goes down the field, kicks a game-winning field goal, and the final score 22-20 in favor of the Dolphins. But let's hear from B. Cooks after another game where he does find the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you get in a situation like that, you practice it so much, right? You trust one another. You know, Dak was doing his thing, and then, you know, trusted me on that throw, and I just wanted to be able to be there and make a play for my team.
How can you describe just the swing of emotions from that moment to walking off the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's football, right? You know, you go out there and you score, and we got so much confidence in our defense, right? And that's the game of football. You know, it happens. It's one of those things that, you know, you look back at a few plays here and there that you wish you could have back. But, you know, you can't do that, so we just got to get back to work and keep pushing, keep fighting.
Just slow down the offense between the second and third quarters. I mean, you guys started out fast, and there was nothing. Then you finally got it going, you know, third, fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think, you know, some of those things in there, biting ourselves in the foot, whether it be, you know, penalties, whatever the case may be. We got to stay ahead of the chains. They're good defense. When you don't stay ahead of the chains in this league, it's going to be hard to convert. So that's what we just got to do in those situations.
You've won a Super Bowl before. Can you put into words how close this team is to putting it all together in road games like this?
I mean, we got the team, no question. I believe that wholeheartedly. We got every man in this locker room. We got everything that we need. We just got to be able to put it together in those crunch time moments. There's a lot of football left, and we just got to keep pushing, get back to work, and reset, and just keep fighting, like I said.
How do you stomach this frustration and move forward and figure it out?
You stomach it by learning from it, right? You look deep in, you look at yourself, you look at what you can do better individually as a group, and you're not shy about it. You go to practice, and you go to work, and you fix those things. That's how you stomach it, by learning from it.
How demoralizing is that?
No.
The opening drive, great drive, and then don't come away with any points.
You know, it's a part of it. We got to learn from it. Nothing's demoralized. A lot of football left from there. You can't think of it like that. We just got to go out there and make more plays.
So a lot of the repeating messages throughout the locker room today is trust within the organization, trust within the teammates. Do you feel like that's the case moving into now 2 straight losses and another really big matchup next week?
That's what it's all about. I mean, Coach McCarthy, that's what he's preaching. That's what Dan Quinn is preaching. Continue to believe in the system, believe in your players, and guys are getting better. We just cut down on the penalties, and things should get much better quickly.
Yeah, you have to have trust, right, between your teammates. And the reality, the good thing is, okay, and I know a lot of people are like, man, we lost the ball game, and there's only a couple games left. Let's chill out. You're playing playoff caliber teams at the end of your season, and you're learning hard lessons before the games truly matter. You're in the playoffs. That's step number 1. Now, you're not going to get the seeding that you want, but you're in the playoffs. So regardless of who you play, you're learning hard lessons now. And I would much rather you get this stuff out of your system right now, get it on film, get it corrected, have examples that you can point to, have some of these guys that are showing some of their weaknesses show up on film today, than you ever will want that to show up a couple weeks from now when the playoffs are hitting. So that's the positive side of this. And you can look at it and say, guess what? We're used to these type of competitions. That is something that you cannot duplicate, but they are duplicating it right now because you're playing these type of teams. Miami, Detroit, right? You got Buffalo. These are teams that we know are going to be up there towards the end of the show, possibly heading to Las Vegas, and you get reps against them. So I think it's a positive from that regard. You would like to have the victory, but take the pluses. Nobody's pointing the finger.
And again, playoff seeding only affected in a minuscule way in this loss. We'll talk about that in the final segment. But when we come back, we got to talk about the secondary. There's some issues. There were some positives to talk about in the loss to Miami. A couple times in the game, Jordan Lewis physically stepping up, making some plays. But it was a physical game for this Dallas secondary. Here's his thoughts following the loss.
That was – the offense depends on us. I mean, we always talk about complementary football, and we didn't execute at the end of that last drive. So, I mean, kudos to those guys. They played a hell of a game, and they had a good execute. They executed well on that last drive, and we just got to make a stop for them.
Overall, you held the top scoring offense in the league to a bunch of field goals. What do you think about the response after the Buffalo game?
I mean, we responded, but we didn't get the dub. You know, we definitely want to get a win. We want a home field advantage. But like Coach said, man, we traveled today. and we didn't execute, good enough to get the win. But I think, it's not a discouraging loss. We definitely can say that we kind of rebounded from last week.
Jordan, first back-to-back losses since 2021. How do you guys turn the page? You haven't had to deal with this year.
We got the Lions, honestly. We have to. We have to turn the page. We got to go out there and execute better. We get one more home opportunity, and hopefully we can execute a little bit better to get that win.
Run defense last week gave 266 yards. This week you guys did a much better job. What was the mentality and the game plan from a run defense?
Just play to our standard. Nobody play hero ball out there. Just get the runner down, and I think we did that for the most part. We just didn't get a stop when we needed it in the fourth quarter.
Does this game seem similar at all to the Philly road loss in that, it's a tough loss, but you can take some confidence from how you played in certain ways, or not really?
Not really. It's kind of different. We didn't turn the ball over, so we needed a turnover. So we didn't make them fumble. We didn't cause any, forced incompletions, really. So it's definitely a different game. It's just, we didn't bend. We didn't break when we needed to, but until that fourth quarter, that last drive. So
overall, the road struggles 3-5 now. How do you find confidence, come playoff time if you guys are on the road?
I think we're confident. We're a competent team. We definitely rebounded today. We just didn't get we didn't execute enough to get the win. But this wasn't just a discouraging loss. It was just a game of inches out there today, honestly. So
that makes it just more frustrating, when you're that close.
Yeah, we definitely got to finish, and that's definitely number one. We see that we can stay in them. Hopefully along this drive in this playoff run, we can finish those games.
So there's Jordan Lewis, and when we come back here on Cowboys OT, we talk playoff scenarios right after this.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
22-20, the final score as the Miami Dolphins take down the Dallas Cowboys on South Beach. As the Cowboys fall to 10-5, Miami improves to 11-4. Back here wrapping up Cowboys OT, Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Youmans. Now, here's the thing with this loss for the Cowboys. The only tiebreaker it takes away from Dallas is the strength of victory possibility. The same result still needs to happen for Dallas to win the NFC East and be the number 2 seed. They need Philly to lose 1, and Dallas has to win their final 2 games. So it puts a little extra emphasis on these final 2 games. You needed to beat Detroit to be that 2 seed anyways, but either way, you've got a chance to still run the table and win the division. As long as Philadelphia loses, you needed that anyways, Cowboys Nation. Barry, what do you want to see from this Cowboys team going into next week?
Well, going into next week, I wanted them to do exactly what Jordan Lewis said. You got to learn from the tape in Miami. You go on to Detroit and focus on to Detroit, and hopefully that run defense with that pass defense comes to life as well.
Stop with the killer penalties. If you do that, you have a chance to win.
I just want to see these guys be physical. I want them to out-physical the Detroit Lions and don't turn the ball over.
And they did a nice job of getting physical in this ball game, but overall, it still wasn't enough. Yeah. You still needed that physicality late. You needed a stop late, and it didn't come through. Lots of learning possibilities. We've got you covered all week long on DallasCowboys.com. But that does it for us on Cowboys OT. For Barry, Nate, Isaiah, and our entire crew, Merry Christmas, everybody. Cowboys fall on the road. We'll see you next time.